Good morning to you. It is, 6 minutes past 9 o'clock, Monday, November the 3rd. This is talkSPORT Breakfast with Arnold Clark. Get the UK's best used car deals guaranteed. I'm Jeff Stelling. With me in Glasgow is Ali McCoy, and we've got a treat for you now because for the next hour, we have a man who used to do this.
And it's cleared, but only as far as Joe Cole. Hits it up into the air, goes for the spectacular, and it's in. What an unbelievable goal from Joe Cole. 35 yards out, on an angle. He's hit it up. The goalkeeper, well, he saw it coming, but there was nothing he could do about that whatsoever.
Here's Joe Cole. Brilliant. Chelsea start the party now.
Listen to this for a standing ovation for Joe Cole.
Shown by the challenge there, and by Joe Cole, finish here. And goodness me, they're in front again. And Joe Cole is the man again.
Yeah, brilliant, especially if you're a West Ham or a Chelsea fan, because Joe Cole is with us for the next hour or so. Morning, Joe.
Morning, Joe. How are you, pal?
I'm very well, Ali. I would love to have seen you here, mate, but you're up the road, right?
I'm up the road, mate. I'm coming down tonight. I'm hosting tomorrow. I was just going to say I'm going to let the cat out the bag, mate. The last time I saw you on Friday night, you were knee deep into a goat curry, mate. What about that curry?
Ow, that was good, mate. I'm telling you. We nearly had to delay the show for this goat curry. It was unbelievable.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah, that was at Luton, was it?
Yeah. If anyone goes down to Luton, I can't remember the name of it, but there's a Jamaican Jamaican food. Was it a little hole in the wall, wasn't it? It was beautiful.
That's exactly what it was, mate.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
it was beautiful.
It was.
Brilliant. Hey, look, I've got your book here, Joe. Luxury Player. I look at luxury players. I think that's almost flattering because I think of, yourself, Glenn Hoddle, Matt Letizia, John Barnes, the players that I loved during my lifetime. But, I mean, did you regard yourself as a luxury player?
Do you know what? Sam Wallace, who wrote the book with me, he had the idea of it because through the theme of the book, it was sort of like me, going through what it was like becoming a footballer and then how you're labelled as a footballer. And, you were labelled with that. And like you said, Jeff, sometimes it can be, you prefer to be a luxury player rather than a ham and egger type thing. You know what I mean? But also it was a label that was used against me as well as with me. And it goes through that with a book, how I how I perceive my career. And luxury player I just thought, it sounded quite good. It leaves a little bit to the imagination.
Yeah. Well, here's a quick question for you, Joe, regarding luxury player. Did any of your coaches or managers look on you as a luxury player?
Well, I think I was unusual, Ali, as a footballer. We talk about that because my dad wasn't a football person, so I didn't play for a team until I was nearly 12 out. And you think in the current climate, like my two boys have been playing competitive football since they were 6, so I was sort of like a street footballer, and then you come into it late. So I was very different to what was around at the time, and Harry was very good with me coming through. Harry was like, he recognised that I could do things that other players couldn't do, and he very early put me into the team, and and give me that freedom. So it was used when I didn't play well. It was used as as something to hit me with, and then when it was all going well, everyone loves a luxury player, don't they? Because you're exciting the crowd and everything. So it was used both ways, I thought.
Yeah. Did you get it in both ways from Jose Mourinho?
Oh God, yeah. Jose, I mean, listen, like fondly talk about Jose in the book because a lot of my relationship with him, because he was so outspoken. But we always had I always felt we had a very honest relationship. Like, and I was okay with the back and forth and a few arguments here and there. And ultimately, I learned so much under him. Like I thought he was like a revolutionary in football and how we trained. It was chalk and cheese from what I was used to before that to when you met him, and that's why he's like one of the top managers. But he was spiky with me, and he did push me, and there was incidents in the media and that, and a lot of people talk to me about it now. But when I look back, it was what I needed as a player. He always felt he needed to keep me under reins. I remember scoring a winning goal against Liverpool. And thinking, bee's knees, I was, straight out that night, scored the big game, winning goal. And before the days of social media, until you woke up the next day and read the headlines, and he was giving me, I don't know, I forgot to track a runner, Ali, at 75 minutes, and he just was like, he said Joe Cole has two faces, a beautiful face and an ugly face. I said, I do, yeah. And it was like headlines, and I think it was his way, because he recognised in me. Concentration was always a problem with me. I always felt, football-wise, I had a lot of good things I could do and a lot of things I couldn't do. A concentration as a footballer is so vital, and he wanted me switched on for the way we played as well, defensively. And I learned so much from him, and I hope that comes across in the book, because we had ups and downs, but ultimately, I really appreciate everything done for my career.
It's amazing that, Joe, Jeff, because I can relate to that. Like, you've no idea, Joe, because I was the same with Graham Souness, and Graham would leave me out of the team, and, I would be throwing toys out the pram. And then it's only when you kind of stop and look back and you realise not only was it for the benefit of the team, which is obviously the most important thing, but it didn't have benefit me as well. And it's an understanding. And the point I would ask you is, from a player's point of view, and you seem to have that relationship with Mourinho, how important is it as a player that you have a relationship with a manager who's completely open and upfront with you?
Honesty and being open, I think, is just fundamental for the. I have ambitions one day of managing. I don't know when that'll be, and I've got the coaching badges and whatnot. But one thing I would say, all of the best managers I've worked with in my book, they have different ways of doing it, different ways of playing, but honesty and openness was and then sometimes that can be brutal. And in the current climate as well, I think everyone worries about upsetting players and where the power lies within a football club. But you have to be open. If you're going to, if you're trying to make a team do something incredible, whatever level you're at, it's competitive, and if you're not open and honest and you're not truthful, you'll get found out. Players will find you out.
Yeah.
Something like that. And I always, like you said, some of it was harsh. We all were like to be patted on the back and told how good we are all the time. But if you're not doing something, I would much prefer to know from a manager so I can change it. So he's always been open and honest. And I think sort of like Jose's never changed that. Just the times around him have changed, and maybe players don't. Maybe they want that. They want that.
See, that was going to be my next question, you mate. That was my next question to you. I mean, the managers and coaches that I work with now would struggle in that department. Brilliant managers and brilliant coaches, because how different is the dressing room, and how different is the mentality in the dressing room to accept that?
Do you know the first time I realised that? Because I'd just retired, I'd come back from America, and I was coaching at Chelsea. I finished off my badges. I was coaching with the youth team. And what I realised about, we played a game, it was like, and when you just retired, Ali, you get involved, you play like 5-a-side, 6-a-side, 7-a-sides, and there wasn't as much talking on the pitch as I remember with these young players, just play, the 17, 18-year-olds, and I think there's something to do with that, like it's a communication thing from the young generation. I think they've been brought up on phones, and I was like, what? I was the most excited to train at 37, and I'm like, why are they not buzzing to do a 5-a-side, and because they've been little professionals for so long, and the communication thing. So I think that plays into it, the communication.
I mean, we're going to talk lots more. God, I looked at the dressing room you walked into at Chelsea with JT and Peter Cech, Frank, Jimmy Floyd, Hasselbank, Marcel Desailly, Emmanuel Petit, and that must have been something. Look, Joe, we'll talk about when we come back in a couple of minutes' time. Good morning, 19 minutes past 9 o'clock, November already, Monday, November the 3rd. This is talkSPORT Breakfast with Arnold Clark. Get the UK's best used car deals guaranteed. I'm Jeff Stelling. Coist is with us in Glasgow, and three-time Premier League winner Joe Cole is with us live here in the studio. I mentioned that dressing room at Chelsea. Look, you'd experienced a top dressing room at West Ham, but what was it like when you first walked in there with people, like JT and like Frank, like Manny Petit? I mean, big characters.
Do you know what? Talk about like JT, Frank. Petr Cech wasn't there when I signed, nor was Didier. Makelele was there. Yeah. But like with JT and Frank, obviously they were sort of year older than me, a couple of years older than me, so they were my peers. So they wasn't the players. They were the players, but they wasn't the leaders and the sort of icons they went on to become. But Marcel Desailly, walking into one of the first weeks of, I was in there at Harleton, and anyone who knows Harleton was like, it was an absolute it was a Kazi of a training ground, honestly. Like for a Premier League standards, Ali. Honestly, mate, I remember going there, and Chad Leaf weren't great at West Ham, but I'm thinking surely I'm going to sign for something luxury now. I walked in there, and then we were getting slung out at the training ground at 2 p.m. because the local hockey team were using our dressing room. I'm thinking Marcel Desailly and Manuel Petit are getting hurried up to get moved on for some accountant to play hockey. It was mental. But my first week, it was a brilliant time. We had a great time there. But my first week, I remember, this is when I realised I was in the big time. Marcel was on the massage bed, and he had he was writing his book, I think, at the time, and he was having pictures out of all his career. And I was like, I was nosy. I walked in, show us then, which ones you're going to choose? And he had like ones with like the great AC Milan side that I watched. Yeah. And he had the one with lifting the World Cup. He had the World Cup and a big cigar on the big man, leaning back. And I thought, I'm playing with some proper players here now. You know what I mean? I was like, so I was like, yeah, that was good. And I was 21 still. Like I look back now and think, because I'd played so much football since I was 17, I was in a team at West Ham and I was captain and that. I thought I was an experienced player when I went there, and I was like, but really I was signed at Chelsea as a maybe, effectively, because they signed in Varane at the time, who was like Argentina's number 10, Mutu, top goal scorer in Serie A, and I was so. It's funny how when you write your book and you look back and think, I was strolling in there thinking, I'm the bee's knees because I've played a good few hundred Premier League games and whatnot. But that was the moment I realised, I'm in with the big boys here.
It's amazing talking about Marcel Desailly there, Joe, because I got away back with him as well, because we actually played against them the year they won it with Marseille. They had a brilliant side as well, and they won it that year. But believe it or not, with a mutual pal, because he started at Nantes when Mo Johnson, who I played with on a regular basis, played with Marcel at Nantes. So straight away there was a connection there. And any time we see, and you know what we're like, we're all over the place for the Champions League games. The first thing he always says to me, how's Mo getting on? The character.
I love him, honestly. He's like, I do some television with him now, and he's such for someone who's done so much in the game, and you often find this with a real top player, such a humility about him. Yeah, I love Big Marcel.
Yeah, an absolute legend of the game, isn't he? Current Chelsea side, there's been a lot of talk, especially after the weekend, about Moises Caicedo, whether he's the best midfield player in the Premier League at the moment. He's not your style of player, but how good is he? He's got to be up there knocking on the door of the best midfield player.
I think he's not. He's certainly knocking on the door, and maybe possibly, he could be the number one. Because I remember watching him at Brighton, and I thought to myself, between the two boxes, I think he's the best midfielder in the world. In the modern game, where so much of it's about patterns of play, and sort of winning yardage, breaking the lines, he's the best at that, breaking up play. He's got great technique, and and I thought, but can he score goals? And now he's adding goals into his game, and also in the other end of the picture, he's becoming more of a leader. I think he's the most important player at Chelsea in terms of, if we had a cup final tomorrow, I'd want his name on the team sheet before anyone else. I think he's brilliant, and that 100 million now is looking like a snip. Yeah,
it's amazing because I agree with you, Joe, but I was critical of Caicedo and Fernandes for a period there, because I don't think they were knitting together. I don't think Chelsea were getting value for money, but particularly Caicedo now, he looks a different level. But where are we with Chelsea, Joe? Because Jeff and I talk about him, I'm talking about him again today. I was there last week, and they were beaten by a very good Sunderland side. Hastily had, but there just seems to me a lack of consistency with Chelsea. On their day, more than capable of beating MD in a match for MD, but I just don't think there's that level of consistency that's required to win league.
Yeah, no, I agree, Al. I mean, obviously, I'm the Chelsea pundit now, so I do all the games. So you get asked questions that you don't want to feel like a broken record. I understand when you speak to the owners, and what they do is they've tried to change the financial model of Chelsea into a more sustainable one. So, under Roman, it was right. We are going to sign the best possible players we can get, in the areas of the team that we need to make our team better to win every trophy we're going for. That was the goal. That was the North Star. That was what we were doing. And everyone knew that. And also, on the flip side of that, if you didn't win games, the manager was going to be on his bike. You know, you knew that as well as players. So you played under that pressure. Now, for whatever reason, they've gone down this road where they've gone, right, we need to be more financially sustainable. So we need, like, they're looking at players as assets as well as just, rather than like what Mikel Arteta's doing at Arsenal, I think, which is like, rather than, right, we're going to build this team over a course of a year, right, I need a centre-half to go next to Saliba, I need a right-back, and then cover at left-back, and they buy it. And I think that's the best way to build a football club, because it's the easiest way to build a football club. Everything comes from what the team's doing. So with Chelsea, I think they're making mistakes, and, you know, they're having these little blips after great games, and I've been banging the drum, and I said, that's what you will get with young players. Right, you will get that. We've all been there. We've all made mistakes, and I've always said you can do that financial model, but why will it not hurt putting 2 or 3 senior players? You might have to pay them a little bit more money, who can really drive the dressing room, help the coaching staff, and all of them lessons I learned as a footballer from playing with people like, I'm trying to think, like Stuart Pearce at West Ham, Nigel Winterburn at West Ham, Marcel when I went into Chelsea, Seba Veron. You know, these little pearls of wisdom you get on the pitch in action. Them lessons are often, that's like 6 months. I played a game, I don't know if I said it, talks about in the book, but I played a game where I played left of a 4-4-2 in front of Stuart Pearce, and he literally had me on the PlayStation remote, was talking me through the game. Yeah. And I learnt more in that game than 3 years of coaching. Yeah, and I don't know why. Maybe that's just the way I would took things on board. But that's what I've been saying to the Chelsea. If you want to go to that next level, you need to get 2 or 3 players in and around that group to help the coaching staff and push them forward. Yeah. Otherwise, you're going to have blips like the Sunderland thing, and it's going to be consistent. Amazing.
Joe, it's amazing, man. And you're the kind of first guy I've heard kind of go down that line. Because I've said for years, I think arguably your most important muscle in the football pitch is your tongue. Yeah, right. I think you've got to pass on information. You've got to be loud. You've got to be noisy. You've got to, you've got to encourage. And I just think they're quieter places nowadays. And you've kind of backed up there yourself.
Yeah, I mean, the nearest they've got to that, isn't it? Is Reece James, and he's still a young man himself.
Yeah, yeah, and Reece is young, and I don't know Reece. I know Reece a little bit. I don't know him well, but I don't know if he's a real imposing character. And sometimes leading isn't about imposing, Tony Adams shouting and pushing that type of lead. Sometimes it can be in a difficult moment in a game. You're at Stamford Bridge, you're losing to Sunderland, you get lots of possession, and you're seeing maybe like a winger's getting a little bit anxious and trying to do it too early. A senior player might just be, you do it simple, or you need to run in behind more. Like just that game knowledge, which, you could have Pep Guardiola, Bill Shankly, Alex Ferguson, and if they're standing on the side of a pitch with 50,000 people and there's something that needs to be said to the left winger on the other side, you might need someone, a little bit of a bit of nous in there.
And we're coming to another break. I just want to ask you quickly, though, before we do, Chelsea are doing this without Cole Palmer at the moment. Does he fit the bill? Does he fit into the luxury player? Do you see a little bit of you in him?
I love Cole Palmer. I love players growing up. Gazza was my favourite player, and I love that type of player, and all fans like. And if Cole Palmer's playing on any channel in any game, you're watching it because he's got that attraction, and they've done really well to win the games they have without him. Because 12 months ago, Chelsea wouldn't have done. So there has been an improvement there.
Yeah. Oh, look. He's fantastic. A great player to watch. He's one of those players. When you're watching a game, you never take your eyes off him, do you? Absolutely fantastic. Look, lots more to come, but time for some news headlines and the such like at 9:29.
I think the training sessions, the way we are and the way the boys are committing to it, individual performers, individual development, improvement is what we are looking in the training ground. I think slightly improving today. Individual, the players much better, much comfortable. It's all about that, getting confidence again so we can play as a team good.
Morning, Nunes with Sando talking after the West Ham win at the weekend over Newcastle United. Everyone of a claret and blue persuasion delighted to see that. I'm sure Joe was as well. Yeah. How pleased were you to see the likes of Freddie Potts getting a start?
Yeah, brilliant. He got man of the match, didn't he?
Yeah.
I was delighted for him. I played with his dad, made my debut with his dad, and I made my second debut with his brother. So yeah, it shows you. Yeah, Al. So like, you know, and a great footballing family. Like, the name will be synonymous with West Ham, and he's exactly what the team needed. That energy, that enthusiasm, and playing there, Al. Like, when it goes wrong at West Ham, because the fans are so passionate and so desperate for the team to win, it can be very difficult sometimes for some characters. And sometimes I think you throw a couple of young players in who got that spirit, and they do that. That gets the fans back on side a little bit. And I think he was brilliant, Potsy. I'm pleased for him. And his dad don't look a day younger than, like, he's annoying. He still looks in his 30s.
I don't know who was the most gutted when his goal was ruled out, though. Well, it was Freddie or his dad.
Yeah.
I know. Joe, listen, mate, before I want to talk further about the West Ham the team just now and Nuno. But before I go there, how difficult is it for the West Ham fans to let go of the old stadium, mate? Because I was fortunate enough to play at the old stadium, you know, and there probably hasn't been a bigger contrast in a team going from one stadium to another. You know what I mean? In terms of the whole package, the atmosphere and everything. I mean, and the ghost of the old stadium, I think, will still be hanging about for a long time, mate.
I do, mate. I do. I mean, one of the reasons I signed for West Ham as a kid, when we was going around doing the rounds looking, we went to Upton Park on a night game. I can't remember who it was. And the smell, Al, and the intensity, and you know, even the wooden seats and everything about the place, I was like, this is a bit of a like this. This is like something. And I remember when we were a youth team and you used to go and get tickets for the game. I remember going and watch to get tickets in the Bobby Moore end or in the other side, because I wanted to experience what it looked like from all over. And I think it's one of the best stadiums to watch a game of football in, Upton Park, and playing when it was going well. And I think the contrast is massive. And I don't know what the answer is, because, you know, they've gone on since then. They won the European trophy and that. But it's never been settled. They've never been really, the fans have never been really happy, because, it isn't the Olympic Stadium, West Ham, whatever, London Stadium. It's not a great stadium to go and watch football in, whatever way you dress it up in.
Yeah.
And Upton Park it felt like home. So when the results ain't going well, that gets used as a stick to batter the owners with, unfortunately. Yeah. But I don't know the answer to it. But unless you can find a way of making it a little bit more of a better stadium to go to, I don't know. I really don't.
Yeah. I mean, look, as a reporter, going to Upton Park was intimidating. So God knows what it was like for opposition players. It must have been, you know. But look, they chopped and changed managers so many times recently, haven't they? Is it the case now they got to stick, for better or for worse, they got to stick with Nuno?
Oh God, yeah, they have to stick with Nuno. I mean, I was covering them during them European campaigns, and it was under David Moyes, who I have a lot of respect for, and I think he's a brilliant manager. And I couldn't understand it. A lot of my friends are West Ham fans, and they were like, "That style of play." Yeah. I'm like, "You're in the Europa, you're in the UEFA Cup, Europa League quarterfinals, semi-finals. You know, you've got these big nights. You're winning trophies like what called and when you used to interview Moisey, and I could feel him being like, "What more do you want me to do here? What is this?" And it was almost the impossible job, and they should never have let him go. If anything, they should have given him more say and more power to keep driving that club forward. Yep. You know, but I think the way that it's set up with Sullivan and Brady, I know that they want what's right for the club, and they want they do, but they're business first and foremost, and they like to be in control and a way to do it. I've always thought West Ham, if you've got a real top manager like David Moyes and he's proven himself, why would you not go to him, David? How do we take this club forward, and let him reshape the whole thing? Like what it seems to me, like what Arteta's doing, who was emerging as a top manager at Arsenal. You can tell decisions are made at that club by the manager, you know. And I think West Ham desperately needs that. It needs someone, and I hope Nuno can establish himself and gain that kind of power, because West Ham should be certainly in the top half of the Premier League, but. There's such a well-supported club. If it was run in the way that a Brentford or a Brighton was run, the sky's the limit for West Ham. You know, but that's why the frustration's there with the West Ham fans.
Yeah. I mean, look, obviously the struggles in recent years, well documented and things. And the one constant through the last, I don't know how many years now, is Jared Bowen. His level of performance. I mean, West Ham fans.
Remarkable.
West Ham fans their worst nightmare must be that they wake up one morning and Jared Bowen says, I've had enough of this, I want to go.
Yeah, well, they got Danny Dyer making sure he don't leave, I'm sure. You know what I mean? So if he ever thinks about it, he'll have, Danny in full in character at his front door. But, like, Jared Bowen, for me, he's been one of he stands shoulder to shoulder with anyone in West Ham's history. What he's done at that club, like you said, he put silverware on the table. That's an unusual thing for West Ham. He's been brilliant. I remember going to interview him just before he made his England debut, and there was talk about it. And I said to him, mate, like, would you fancy the England? How do you feel about it? And he was really humble, Ali. He was really like, you know, he was like, he doesn't realise what a good player he is and what he can do. He didn't think the England thing would happen for him. And I look at it now, and I think Thomas Tuchel's probably thinking, all right, Saka's going to be the number one on that position. That's pretty much. But if I'm bringing someone on and I need a goal in the World Cup, you know, Jared Bowen is as good as an option as anyone else. And I think he's just a brilliant player.
I'm with you, Joe, all the way, because I agree with you regarding Saka as well, and he's got lots of options. There's no doubt about it. He's got lots of options. Tuchel, probably more option than any England manager's ever had, particularly in those kind of forward, wide areas. But the one thing where I'm with you, the one thing about Jared Bowen, I think he's as good an opportunity to get you a goal if you need one than any of them.
Yeah, absolutely. He's a finisher. I think he's one of the best finishers in the country. I think outside of Haaland, I don't think there's a bet. He's certainly in the top 5 finishers.
Yeah.
No, he's deadly.
Yeah, and I don't mean this in any way, you know, demeaningly, but he's a trier as well. I mean, nobody tries harder than he does. Will it stay up?
He put me before the weekend. I didn't think so, but they showed me something. Nuno showed me something a little bit at the weekend. I think they got a chance. I think Wolves are, unfortunately, Wolves fan. Listen, I think Wolves are doomed. And I think there's probably 5 teams who are going to be. 2 of them are going to be out the trap door, because I think like Ali's old team, Sunderland, what they've done is remarkable, and Burnley and Leeds have got points on the board as well. So I worry for West Ham, but there's a little bit more of a bit of a light after the weekend.
Yeah,
it's funny, Joe. I was
next as well.
saying to Jeff.
Yeah.
Sorry, Jeff. I was saying to Jeff earlier about Sunderland starting ever so well. Obviously, promoted sides Leeds and Burnley have started well, but at the same time, Joe, they're 16th and 17th.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, the league's going to look a lot different this year. I think it was done and dusted. Like Southampton put a clinic on how to get relegated last year, didn't they? And then there was a few other clubs. I think the teams that have come up are a lot wiser, with a bit more nous, and they worked it out. So I think the bottom's going to be tighter this year, and it's going to make for an exciting end to the season. Not for them clubs, but for all the neutrals.
Mick, as Texas said, I'm on the disabled supporters board for West Ham. Facilities and the journey to and from are a lot better at the London Stadium, so there's a slightly different perspective on it. And Michael's texting says, Joe Cole, just listen to him. You can feel the passion in his voice. Such an amazing young man. And very flattering to be called Joe, of course. At this stage.
I know. 44 next week. Yeah.
I think it's in comparison. I think it's in comparison to you and I, Jeff.
It's 9:44. Much more to come from Joe Cole in just a minute.
Yes, for sure, because it's extremely difficult to do it, and especially in this league. But we need to maintain it. We need to recognize the things that we're doing so well to get to this point and to improve it still. And if we do that, I think we can do better.
Good morning, this is talkSPORT Breakfast. I'm Jeff Stelling. Alec McCoy is with us, and so too is Joe Cole. Mikel Arteta there. Arsenal won for the 7th time in a row, keeping yet another clean sheet in the process, as Arsenal fans never fail to remind me. Just so we talk about that, though. Oh, man. They are so touchy. Because I suggested last week that maybe they could just be a little more expansive. Whoa. Yeah. Anyway, before we do anything more, the book, Luxury Player, I've only read a little bit of it, Joe, but it's a brilliant book. The front cover is absolutely fantastic as well. But tell us a bit more about where the profits are going. Well, they're not going in your pockets.
No. There's no. I wanted. Listen, we're very blessed to be a footballer. You know, lucky. I've been asked to do a book a few times. There's many reasons I wanted to do it, but one of the reasons was, you know, put a few quid in a few charities' pockets, and one of the charities it's going to is Onside Youth Zone. It's something I worked with during the pandemic. Me and my wife raised money, and basically what they do is like the government don't fund as many youth clubs as they used to, so they put these youth centres, youth clubs in underprivileged areas around the country, you know, and get kids, you know, off the street, you know, get them into the arts, get them into sport, you know, just, you know, sometimes a bit of food in their belly and a nice safe place, and it's a brilliant place. I thought, you know, it's organic and yeah, and it's just something I felt if the money's going to go somewhere, it would go there. And another one's a friend of mine. It's Never You. His name's Kerry, and it's you know, if parents get a terrible diagnosis with their kids and basically what it does is I said the government, but it helps the families out. So say if your kid's got a terminal illness, and he's basically trying to make, you know, that there's more money available to the families to support them in the darkest times, you know. And I just thought these two charities, he's lobbying Parliament to try and get some support there. It's inspiring actually, you know, because there's nothing can be worse than your child being ill. So I thought them two things, where the money goes there, and I know it's going to go in a good place, and a good thing will come out of it.
Yeah, Joe, it's brilliant that you do that, mate, because, you know, I know how long it takes to write these things, and then the publicity, you know, can go on forever. Yeah, but it's brilliant.
That was a joy for me. Sam Wallace, who wrote it, because when you finish playing, you know, your identity's so tied up into being a footballer. Yeah. You know, you start so going through it with Sam probably saved me a right few quid on therapy, really. Do you know what I mean? I was like, I really enjoyed it. You sort of where you come from, because, you know, like I was 16, 17, thrust into the spotlight as a footballer, and then you could put your mask on as a footballer until, you know, retired, nearly 37, and then someone comes along one day and goes, right, that's enough. You've got to grow up now and become a real, you know. Yeah. So it was really good thinking, going through the journey and all the stories and everything, and so I loved doing it. So it was a real labour of love for me, and Sam Wallace is a brilliant writer, and he's really captured it for me.
No, it's fantastic. Great. Joe, I've got to say, and just another quick, when you talk about players, and as a concern, players coming to the end of their career, there's, you know, what they're going to do. It's a complete change in life and complete change in everything for them. But at the same time, yourself, brilliant. You're doing your coaching bits and pieces. Obviously, love working with you at TNT, and pun intended, by the way, you've got a finger in a couple of pies, a couple of restaurants going and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, see, you've certainly, you know, you've got plenty going on, mate.
He's after a freebie now.
Yeah, I don't worry. Ali's been there. Ali's had a few. Listen,
as you can see,
it's got the McCoy seal of approval, the tomahawk steak down there, right?
You better believe it, mate.
Are you still interested in coaching, though, aren't you?
Yeah.
You say you're at Luton on Friday. You see Jack Wilshere go in there. Does that whet the appetite?
Yeah, that really did. Like, it was great because, you know, I know Jack a little bit, but I worked with Sav. We both worked with Sav, and watching how excited he was. He was like a kid at Christmas. I know they didn't win the game, but I think doing this work we do with football, you have to check yourself sometimes. I'm going to watch some of the best players in the world and getting paid for it, you know. But watching how excited Sav was, and Jack as well, in that game, mate, you know, because we're all competitors at heart. You know, I played bingo with my kids last night in the house, and I wanted to win. Do you know what I mean? I was fuming I didn't win. So there is that inside you that wants to do it. But for me, I'm never going to go and work for somewhere where it's, you know, it has to be right. It has to be the right opportunity at the right club with the right support around me. But it would be something I'd like to do. Yeah.
But you said something earlier there, Joe, which I got totally in it. And correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think you necessarily miss the Saturday afternoon. Of course you miss it to a degree. The Saturday afternoon, the 45,000, the 50,000, the games. But you said something. It's the smell of the place. It's the training. It's the five-a-sides. It's the crack in the dressing room. It's everything, eh?
Oh, it's everything. And when I retired, I wanted to, you know, I I listen. Believe it or not, I do listen to people. You can tell my wife, right? So I spoke to a few players, and they said, "Listen, make sure you got something to walk into when you're retired." So I had, like you said, I had a little few business interests. Was going to work on the TV, the coaching. I like to do loads of things. One of the things I did was I got all my mates, my pals that I grew up with, and we started a football team again. A few other people I'd worked to. It was like the Sunday league, proper pub football. And honestly, it was hilarious, because first of all, your mates who ain't played football with for 20 years, watching them come to the slow realisation that they can't trap a bag of cement was brilliant on a Sunday. But we had some great memories. We won a few trophies, got kick lumps out of all over Essex on a Sunday morning. But and then you go to the pub afterwards or what, for a Sunday roast. It was brilliant. So yeah, you do miss the football.
Yeah, almost out of time, Joe. Look, you know a thing or two about World Cups. What, are you playing 3 of them? Yeah, 3. England's chances next year.
Before the last game, I was a bit dubious. I was like, how's this looking, the last group of games? But what I like about Thomas Tuchel is he is putting the blinkers on. He's picking players that he wants. Yeah. I think for whatever reason, he's seen the Bellingham situation and thought, I need to do something here. My only interactions with Bellingham has been he's been, really good lad and everything. But he obviously felt he needed to do something with Bellingham, leave him out, whatever. And I think he'll get a response from Bellingham. I think Bellingham will get even better as a footballer. I think he's a genius anyway. I think the group's going to be strong. And if England are to win this World Cup, we are not going to be doing it with expansive football, because the French team, the Spanish team, the Argies, the Brazilians maybe will be able to out-football us. So I think a Thomas Tuchel style of football, listen, we'll get through to the quarterfinals, I'm pretty sure. Because there's about 300 teams in it. Cape Verde are in it. It's not like it used to be.
Scotland. Sorry, Caicedo.
But when we play a France, a Spain, or an Argentina at that back end of the tournament, we're going to have to play a pragmatic style of football, and I think Thomas Tuchel's brilliant at that. So I have more hope.
Just a quick one on Arsenal, particularly the defensive record at the moment, Joe. Sensational, mate. Only lost 3 goals. How Big John Terry and the boy, he'll be looking, I know for a fact, and you know him better than I, he'll be looking every week and he'll just want to see Arsenal losing goals.
Yeah. He'll definitely be, whoever Arsenal were playing, JT will have a shirt on. I look over enviously at Arsenal, Ali, and the way that club's run. Yeah. And the way that, the job that Mikel Arteta's done. And like you said, we had a conversation after the Liverpool game. Remember, Al? We was really impressed with Arsenal, even though they lost the game. That's right. And how they was. And everything from that game on, they just look impenetrable. And I think it's starting to play in the mindset of the opposition teams now, and I think that's what we had at Chelsea. People just didn't think they could score against us. And I think Arsenal have now got that. And I'm a little bit concerned, to be honest. But I think Arsenal win the league and maybe the Champions League as well. I really think they're brilliant. And that's really hard for me to say. Really tough.
Joe, look, I can't believe it. The hour has gone.
Oh, wow.
Really appreciate you coming in, mate. Really appreciate you coming in. Joe Cole, luxury player from Orion Books. And remember, guys, everything that is raised for this book goes to charity.
Not everything that I would earn.
Everything that Joe would earn goes to charity.
People have to earn a few quid.
Of course,
it doesn't get made by itself. But
of course they do. But it's brilliant that you're doing that, Joe. Absolutely fantastic. And appreciate you coming in. Thanks very much.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Great to see you, pal.
Good to see you out.
Caicedo, you're back tomorrow.
Tomorrow, mate.
Alongside Ray.
Yes, Ray's coming in. That could be interesting.
Yeah. I'm having a couple of days off, but I have to get a quick plug in first. Thursday night, the Granville Theatre in Ramsgate. It's Stelling and Bianca Westwood resurrected for one show before Christmas. So come along if you possibly can to that. Thanks again to Joe. Up next, Jim White, Simon Jordan and Steve Bruce.
Haaland is up there with me.